Service dogs can provide life-changing assistance for people with disabilities. By using positive training rewards, the dogs learn quickly and enjoy the learning process. Here, the older dog reminds the pup in training to act stupid for as long as you can to get the maximum number of treats. Dogs must learn to relax and settle, even in the distracting environment of a yoga class in a high school gymnasium. They learn to leave it with a variety of objects, including their children's toys. Here the puppy resists biting the feet of the Barbie doll. Dogs are taught to go to a mat and settle, as these two service dogs do while they share a mat and wait patiently for dinner to be served. New objects are seen every day, like a tortoise, and play becomes the beginning of task training. Here a dog for a hearing disabled owner waits patiently behind the owner for the cow train to arrive. Dogs must be unobtrusive in every environment, and they must be able to focus on their owner even in new places such as shopping in New Mexico. When they are exposed to a new object, such as this sculpture in the garden, the dog must learn to focus quickly back on the owner. Here, radar practices focus in front of a whole lot of Canadian geese. Sometimes mothers train the service dogs for their children. This dog practices the under command while his owner is having therapy. Dogs can be taught to do deep pressure therapy to relieve anxiety. But all these skills must be practiced out in public where there are lots of distractions. Here Mozart practices his interruptive task out in a park. The visit command, another way to get a dog to help with anxiety, is taught by luring the dog across the client's lap using a piece of food. Or the dog can be taught to do poke, pressing against the owner until the owner pays attention to the dog and starts to pet the dog instead of listening to the negative thoughts in their mind. Hearing dogs are often dogs that are rescued from shelters. Here, radar alerts Susan that her phone is ringing, and then he will lead her to the place where the phone is located. He has already provided fabulous service for his owner when the fire alarm went off at work and she didn't hear it. This is the first time radar alerted Susan to the fact her phone was ringing, and they were in a busy BART station at the time. Well, what are some of the ways a dog can help around the house? That is, when he's not relaxing after training. How about getting them to open the door?
Yes, good girl.
Or close the door.
Yeah.
This dog is a mobility dog, but he's been taught to do lots of things around the house, such as grab the laundry basket and bring it out to the laundry zone for his owner. He considers this a great game. Once the laundry basket is in the laundry zone, the dog will pick up the clothes as she points to them and hand them to her so she doesn't have to bend over to put them in the washing machine. This dog was a 3-year-old hunting dog that was converted to a service dog for his owner who has mobility problems. Here she's teaching the dog to go up 3 flights of stairs and bring her shoes back down to her in the living room. Owners who have their dogs in offices can use their service dogs to deliver inter-office mail. At home, such as this woman with her cockapoo, she uses the dog to help her get dressed in the morning. He brings the shoes because she gets dizzy when she bends over and she doesn't have very good balance or flexibility. This is a great skill to teach your dog, and it also helps your dog move your shoes from one room to another or from one room into the closet. This woman lives alone, so her dog has to be taught to retrieve lots of different items. Here she's teaching the dog to bring the leash off of her walker so she can clip it to the dog's collar. When this woman is outside, she actually has the retractable leash clipped to her walker and uses a regular leash for the dog. That way, if she falls, the dog can go and grab the retractable leash and pull the walker to her to help her get up. Having a dog who comes whenever you call it is exceedingly important as a safety thing, but if your voice is weak, you can use a bell to call your dog. Or you can teach your dog to carry messages back and forth between you and a caregiver. Watch how persistent this woman is in training her dog to do exactly what she wants the dog to do. That's nice, but let's try it from a longer distance. This dog already mastered the skill inside the house, so we're practicing out in the backyard, and I'm about 100 feet away. The dog is eager to return to his owner quickly for the reward, but he has to do it correctly or he won't get his reward. Each time he's given another chance to try it until he succeeds. She can't bend over, so the dog must hand her the envelope or the message in order to get the reward. Out in the community, people who walk with a mobility brace have to have special instructions to keep from either hurting the dog or pulling their back off to the side. At the beginning of the class, this dog was wandering around and looking at everything, and he had to be taught to walk a little bit ahead of the owner, and the owner couldn't pull on the brace or it would hurt the dog's shoulders. So by the end of the class, they were working well as a team with the dog right where she needed him, and she was walking much straighter with the dog close to her hip. This dog had to become a service dog after his owner had a severe back injury, and this is only the second time the dog has gone to the park with the owner and the wheelchair, and he's learning to pay attention to the owner. This dog has been going to work with his owner since he was about 15 weeks old, and here they're practicing for the very first plane ride. Using a whistle to call your dog or to get the dog to halt is a wonderful task to train your dog, whether you're in a wheelchair or you just like to hike off leash with your dog. But with all behaviors, they must be proofed in a highly distracting environment. So the dog wears a long lead for safety purposes, but they're practicing in a park. Service dogs are just as effective for kids as they are for adults. And kids often make the best trainers because they've been in school all day listening to instructions, and they are used to following the instructions and paying attention to an adult. They're also really good at repeating commands to their dog. This young man is teaching his dog the proper shopping etiquette. He has to hold a down or a stay while his owner rattles cellophane packages and handles food products. A waist harness allows children who have a short attention span to walk their dog and still have a sense of control because they don't have to constantly hold the leash. This was the first time this young man was able to control his dog through a full hour class after his parents had been training the dog for a year for him. He had been housebound with a chronic illness but was motivated enough to come outdoors and teach his dog to swim. These two boys have an emotional support dog and a service dog. They take infusions, and the dog cuts down on their anxiety with deep pressure. Sometimes the infusions cause severe headaches, and we discover that the heat of the dog's head helps to relieve the pain from the headaches. Children still get to play with their service dogs just like any other puppy, and games are part of our classes. This young man was preparing to take his service dog to Holland on the airplane, so he practiced by having the dog wait in small spaces in his home to get used to riding on the airplane. At the airport, the stewardesses announced they were shocked that there had been a dog on the plane because he was so well behaved. Here, a young boy received some comfort from his dog after a therapy session. And even after 2 classes, a child can teach a dog useful commands like go to your mat, lie down, settle, take your chew toy, and chew on that instead of my arm. And after a long day of training, there's nothing like lounging in the cool creek and taking a nap. And the dogs want you to remember that all food must go to the lab for testing.